Hello guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to the first film in our Gamera week. I thought we'd have a week of looking at Gamera because, like I said before in a previous video, I tend to cover a lot of Godzilla films in my on my channel, but I don't touch the Gamera, which is a shame because although it's not as good or as popular or had the funding as Godzilla, it's still a very, very cool little franchise. So tonight we're going to be looking at the very first one, Gamera, called Gamera the Giant Monster. So there's a bit of a difference in the first Gamera and Godzilla film. Godzilla was a very sort of sinister sort of monster, and he was out to sort of like kill or everything in sight all over Tokyo. Although this one here, Gamera, is not 100% a good guy, there are elements that he is. This one starts off with when he see these American fighter jets chasing these aircrafts that are in the airspace, and they won't identify themselves. So there's lots of sort of investigations going on between these sort of aeroplanes, and on the ground in the sort of like this sort of snowy region where we've got sort of like Eskimos living, which is a bit mad. We've got an expedition team there, and they come across this sort of like Eskimo site. So they go towards them and start having a jibber jabber with them. Meanwhile, while this is going on, the American aircraft are attacking these unidentified craft in the air, and they shoot one down, and it lands into the sort of sea and snow, and explodes off of an atomic sort of like explosion. And our expedition Eskimos see this. They say, "Oh, look, a big atomic explosion." One guy's he's like a reporter. He's taking photographs. But as this sort of atomic explosion happens, it's awakened our Gamera, who's been living under the ice and the sea for about 3 or 4 thousand years. He's been under there. So now he is being resurrected, and we see him in all his glory. So up he comes, and the Eskimos tell the expeditionists about Gamera, and they give them this sort of rock, which explains a little bit about Gamera. But of course, humans being humans, the first thing they want to do is attack. So they try attacking Gamera by shooting missiles at it and all this sort of thing. And there's one ship that's sort of stranded in the middle of this area. And Gamera heads towards it and sort of knocks it out and sort of destroys the ship. But most of the people get away from it. You see them scuttling away as they abandon the ship. But he destroys this ship, and then he sort of disappears. The fighter pilots go around looking for him, but he disappears. The problem is that they shoot him with firearms and stuff, but all this does is make him stronger. He's sort of resistant to all this. And a little bit further into the film, we see this little village on the edge of sort of like I guess Japan, and there's like a lighthouse there, and there's a young family with a young boy, and the young boy's obsessed with turtles. He keeps drawing turtles at school, and he's being told off by the sort of teacher telling his mother, "Can you tell him to stop drawing turtles?" And he's got this pet turtle, and and his father's absolutely raged that his studying's falling behind, so he tells him to take the pet turtle away and set it free. So the young lad takes it down to all the rocks and stuff by the cliffs, and lets it go, and it's very sad, and turns around, says goodbye, and right behind him, behind him comes Gamera. So Gamera sort of appears again, and the young lad goes running to the village and telling his mum and what he's seen and all this sort of stuff, and they don't believe him until it all starts rocking and kicking off. And now scientists have returned now. Our main scientist guy is on the TV making a report about Gamera, him and his assistant, and they're trying to find ways to sort of destroy Gamera, which is a shame really because he hasn't done anything. Anyway, Gamera then goes to this sort of this small town with the lighthouse, and he destroys the lighthouse. But the young lad is up the top of the lighthouse, getting as close to Gamera as he can because he loves turtles. And because he's destroying the young lad's hanging on by his hands by this pipe, and then falls down. Looks like it's going to be to his death, but then Gamera puts his hand out and saves the lad and puts him down safely. So the young lad and his family believe Gamera to be a good turtle because he saved his life. But Gamera then disappears again, and then he sort of reappears around this sort of oil refinery, and this is where the army and all that are sort of arranged to meet to sort of try and kill him and take him out. And the lead scientist, thinks that all these missiles are not doing any good. Nothing is destroying him. So how about if we make him cold? So they've sort of like made him cold with all this stuff, explosions, and he sort of falls down onto his back after he's destroyed the whole oil refinery. And they think that they've solved the problem. But then Gamera takes his legs and head into his shell, like all turtles do, and fires out like this, these sort of fire sparks, and starts spinning around like a flying saucer and takes off. So he's got the ability of doing this. And so they're all bewildered again. They think, well, what can we do? He's now gone, and he's been seen all over the world, this sort of flying saucer thing. And so it then plays out of like humans versus Gamera. And he does his normal rampaging through the city and destroying the city, just like Godzilla. And it's like I say, in this one, he's not such a good guy. In most of the Gamera films after this, in this early franchise, he was a family-friendly monster and was like looked upon as like a good guy to save the world against these other creatures. But in this one, there isn't other creatures. It's just like Gamera. And so they're trying to destroy him. So are they going to find a way to destroy him? Or is Gamera going to escape? Or is he going to save the day and they're going to find out that he's a good monster? You need to watch it and find out. What do I think of Gamera, the giant monster? It's a classic. It's an absolute classic kaiju film. Just like Godzilla, just like Ultraman, all these sort of old sort of like Japanese monster films. Kaiju actually means monster in Japanese, and it's wonderful. It's an absolute delight to watch. I'm going to score this an amazing watch and give this a 9 out of 10. Yes, I gave the Godzilla a 10 out of 10, the original, but I'll give this one a 9 because it's not on par with the Godzilla. There was nowhere near a bigger budget. And you can see some of the acting in this is pretty shocking. And like I said, in this one, you've got the Americans in it as well as the Japanese, which happens in some of the Godzilla films, but a bit later down the line. But this one, straight away, we've got this going on. But it's still wonderful. The characters are great. The main professor, he holds the film together. He looks like he should be in a Godzilla film or Gamera film. He looks just in place, and he's fantastic. The young lad in it, who's like who's one of the main characters, he's okay too. He's not too bad. He's not annoying as I thought he was gonna be. Because I saw other Gamera films and the kids in it are quite irritating, but in this one is not too bad. And he's got a real love for Gamera. What everyone's opposed to him, he's trying to show the adults the way. He's not here for a bad reason. So anyway, so all it sort of plays out really, really well. And the effects are really fantastic for the time. Absolutely amazing. It looks really cool. The picture quality is cool. It's black and white with a natural grain. Some scenes it's absolutely pristine and clear. Others has got a little bit of a natural grain for it. And a lot of it is quite dark. But again, This is a very small budget, so they probably didn't have the lighting and all sorts of things that other films may have had by them. But it doesn't take it away from being an amazing Kaiju film, amazing monster film. Gamera, the giant monster, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below. It's a great film, it really is. And I'm so glad to sort of like go through some of these Gamera films. I have, they only ever made 12. I do have all 12 in 2 separate box sets from Arrow. So I'm hoping that this doesn't get blocked, because every time this is a different company to Toho, so I'm hoping they're not as copyright happy as they are. Because whenever I try to do a Godzilla one, um, it gets blocked quite a lot, especially the earlier ones. I can use photographs on them, but I can't use footage. So I've taken some clips, so hopefully this is out with clips in it. If it's not, I'm so sorry, guys. I did try. Thank you, guys. Tune in for the next one. I think we're going to move a little bit further into the franchise for the next story, so keep your eyes peeled.